All right, here we go, back again on the other side of the coin.
All right, here we go, back again on the other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. What a victory. I mean, that second half, devastating second half. I said it even in the preview that I'm not worried about the Spurs team. They looked really good when they obviously sent out the lineup, but I was never worried. I just thought that we have too much class. But that first half did worry a little bit, and I expected that. A lot of people were telling me that they're going to sit deep, and I was like, no, they're at home. They've got quality players up front. It just doesn't make sense for them to sit deep. And let's be honest, defensively, it's not like they're supremely talented when it comes to defense. We already saw 3-0. We've smashed them in the second half. But we're going to talk a lot about this match. We're going to do this review a little bit differently. We're actually going to talk about key points as opposed to going through the normal stuff that we normally go through. I think it's good to talk about the juicy points about this match because there was a lot of key elements that we need to touch on. Live chat, I will get to you ASAP in regards to giving you a shout out. But meanwhile, smash the like button. We've already got over 30 people live. Smash the like button. And whilst you do that, let's introduce the panel. Johnathan, my man, my main man. Here's he. How you doing?
I enjoyed that one. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It was a game of two halves. It was clinical from the second half. Again, Tuchel showing his master tactician side of himself. And yeah, just really happy, honestly. I wanted blood. I wanted 4, 5, 6. I was really going for it at the end.
Could have been. Yeah.
We scored 3. Could have been 4 or 5, and I don't think it would have flattered us. We're top of the league. I don't want to get too excited. I'm not like, regular on last season tweeting it out. But I'm really excited. Just at the prospect of this team, we're still in second gear, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Still can get so much better. So I'm really happy to be here with Ishan, Taron, and yourself, and let's get into it.
Yeah, man, you're right. Like, even this match, we weren't really there first half. We really turned up in the second half. And all honestly praise to Thomas Tuchel for tactically changing things around. I think we're going to talk heavily on that. Taron, my boy, how you doing? Looking good?
Thank you. Got the fresh shave. But yeah, I mean, really, really good after that win. I mean, the first half, we'll get into this all later, but the way I'm feeling is I'm used to this now. It doesn't feel like, for me, like it was a humongous victory. I wanted more, like Johnathan said. Yeah. I'm used to it. And it feels like the next loss we have is going to really hurt because each game we come out, I expect so much. And I'm just so happy to be a Chelsea fan at the minute. Each week, we defend well. Maybe the attacking fluidity isn't quite there, but we're such a great team with a great manager, and I just feel so happy right now. But yeah, a lot to talk about in this game. The first half, we'll kind of get into what went wrong. Second half, how we played similar to Bayern Munich against us, Stamford Bridge all them years ago. Absolutely world class. And yeah, we'll get into all this later.
100%. You're right. Like, I mean, I expected a victory. Ishan knows in the preview, we were saying 2-0, some were saying 3-0. But you're right. It did get to a point in the second half where you're going, now let's get that fourth. Let's get that fifth because we just could. We looked so good. And that's the crazy part. We haven't even put a whole match together and we're looking good. Ishan, my boy, how you doing? Sorry we couldn't do a watch along, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. We will come back and do a watch along for the Aston Villa game. But Ishan, really good to have you in the review, man. How you doing?
No, we missed the watch along, to be very honest, but then no worries, we'll be having that next time. But it's been a great day, and I'm drinking Spurs tears, and enjoying my life, So yeah, let's get into the show, man. It's going to be great discussions with Johnny and Taron as well.
100%. I love this. Okay, let's just quickly touch upon the lineup. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I'm just going to bring this up. Johnathan, I'll go to you in regards to the lineup. As I said, I'm not going to go to every single panelist on this. I think it's just for the sake of it, I suppose, how we set up initially. Let me just reduce that a little bit. There we go. I mean, Johnathan, I had no idea because I was asleep because the game started at 1:30 a.m. for us. So I woke up and I saw Kepa in the goals, not knowing that Mendy's injured. And I had no issues. The only issue I kind of initially had, not knowing the injury, was that I don't see why we're rotating. Like, why we're rotating the goalkeeper position. But then obviously, as soon as I tweeted that out, everyone slammed me. Everyone saying, Mendy's injured. What do you want? And then I had to retweet something else saying that I just woke up. I didn't know about the Mendy injury. But besides that, all the other stuff, I know Christensen as RCB, Azpilicueta as right wing back. We've seen this combination previously. Alonso, we know how much he loves Spurs, and we'll talk about Alonso as well down the track. I wasn't too surprised with this total lineup, besides the Kepa factor. I mean, how did you take that when you saw the lineup?
Yeah, I completely agree. Obviously, many little injuries, so Kepa comes in. But the thing is, the way we structure our defence and the way we're so solid, yes, I know he's not Mendy, but he had his Super Cup antics, and if he needs to come in, we need to be confident in him. And to be honest, I wasn't too phased today. Christian can come in. I think he can play across the back line. So with Silva next to him, we know what Azpilicueta can do at the right wing back. And in a game like this, I think you need that balance. And I said it at the start of the game where you've got Alonso going down the wing for me, as we all sing at Stamford Bridge, and then Azpilicueta just been a little bit more cautious. So I like the balance. You've got the pivot that we should have had, in my opinion. I said about Kante coming on, and we'll obviously get to that and the impact he had in this game, because, when you look back at this game in a few years' time, Kante is massively imprinted on this game. It's the fact that he came on and controlled it. But that pivot to begin with was the pivot I would have gone with. And I think a lot of people like Kai and Mason in terms of them as a pairing. A lot of shouts for Werner, but I get exactly why Timo came on and again, was a substitute. Again, we'll probably get to that. But it was the side I pretty much expected. The only one I would have maybe changed, maybe Azpilicueta and James, maybe instead of Christensen, or James instead of Azpilicueta. Other than that, it was an expected lineup. But the thing is, I looked at the Spurs team. Yes, they've got Son. It was a better midfield than I was expecting. But I looked at it and I thought, we can beat this side. Emerson and Reguilon are two wing backs, or left and right back, that we can get in behind. They're not very good defensively, in my opinion. Emerson was absolutely obliterated by Zaha. Reguilon,
honestly, not that great in attack either, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Reguilon as well been outclassed as well. And, Dyer Romero hasn't played much together. I thought, midfield was good, and Ndombele has had his issues.
By the way, he was probably their best player, Ndombele.
Yeah, I just looked at it and thought, we're going to win this game. I was expecting a win, but it was the fact that it was the emphatic win that it was. So, I expected the team, but I didn't expect them to press so high, to be on the front foot. And that's what I think caught us off guard. And, fair play to Nuno, but we turned it around. And it just showed that, even when it's not quite going for us, Tuchel can get us in, regroup us, and change it when he needs to. And that is a sign of not only a great manager, but a great team, because another team maybe goes in 1-0 down, or sloppy goal, and then we're up against it, and Tottenham can then sit back and pick us off. But despite us not playing well, we somehow managed, not managed, because they didn't throw everything at us. Other than a couple of chances, I wasn't really worried we were going to concede, but we kept it solid. We made sure that it was 0-0, almost knowing we'll go in at half time, Tuchel will make some changes, we'll come out and we'll be better. There was a bit on the cameras where Azpilicueta is talking to Tuchel. Tuchel's probably saying to him, let's just see this out. I'll change it. We'll sort it out.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I think these players know that in phases of the game, they just need to see it out. And that's what impressed me most today with this lineup, because we're ever adaptable. We know what Tuchel needs. And in certain situations, we're just clever. And that's what, I love. And yes, I was expecting a win, but I just repeat, I'm absolutely buzzing with this today. I'm ecstatic with that. First time we've won 6 away London League derbies in a row in our history. It's the first time Chelsea have won away at Arsenal and Tottenham for 10 years. Unbeaten in 7 matches this season. It just gets better and better.
100%. Absolutely well said. We're now going to talk about one of the first major points of the match. Live chat, all the people that are mods, please look out for the spammers and just block them. Don't sort of time them out. Just absolutely block them. That's the best way to get rid of all of this. And whilst you're doing that, over 70 live right now. Let's smash the like button. Let's get the likes up to well over 50. Let's keep up with the likes, because it truly helps the growth of the channel. So keep banging in those likes. And if you're here for the first time, subscribe. Okay, Taron, let's talk about the first particular topic, which is the whole Mason Mount, Kai Havertz, and the introduction of Kante coming in the second half. We really need to deep this, because there's something truly interesting that we need to talk about in this particular situation. Now, we can't completely rely on Lukaku to do everything game in, game out. And we've said it, even in the last review, players like Mount, Havertz, Ziyech, and even Werner, who came in, and we'll talk about the Werner impact down the track, especially Kai and Mount, another lackluster sort of subpar performance. Mount, yeah, good off the ball, but on the ball, you've got to be decisive. You have to be decisive. You've got to find those passes, fluffing chances inside the box as well. Kai Havertz didn't look that great either, fluffing chances inside the box. Some of the passes weren't great. I mean, I'm not surprised that we saw Kante in the second half come in and the impact, the immediate impact Kante had. I mean, how'd you see the inside forwards and Kante, and how do you feel about that whole inside forward situation at the moment?
I think it's a bit of adaptation period for Mount and Havertz. They played the whole season, the Champions League winning run without a known number 9. So it will take time for them to adapt with playing off someone else, not using their own abilities to kind of be a target man, rotate, pull defenders out of position there. I say not as important as they were before with Lukaku there now. Mount and Havertz would always be the main focal points in our team last season in the attack. You know, Mason Mount, every single time he had an attack, he'd link up the midfield in the attack, drive forward, try and find Timo, try and find someone else. And Kai Havertz was just that kind of free roam drift, as we saw in the CL final, Crystal Palace, so many games. So it's a bit of a different kind of, I say, look on things with Lukaku there. He's taken up, I say, a big portion of that midfield, of that forward three. So I think with more games together, more connections in training, more minutes together, the link up will come. It won't obviously click straight away. Lukaku, I believe at Inter Milan, he didn't play in such a possession-based system. So playing with the ball a lot maybe does take some adaptation as well. But yeah, to talk about Kante a little bit now, I think the impact that guy had, absolutely world-class. And I knew it was going to happen. As soon as he came on, I knew his intensity would be too much. I felt in the first half, our midfield was getting overloaded quite a lot. Tottenham kind of saw Jorginho and Kovacic as a weakness maybe in our team, kind of overloaded Højbjerg and a lot of other players. Kane was dropping in a lot. Lo Celso was kind of occupying that space, Dele Alli. And our midfield was getting dominated a lot in the first half. And what does Tuchel do straight away? He looks and sees the main issue in that team, doesn't dwell on it, doesn't think about it, brings on Kante straight away and look at the impact. I mean, not all the goals were to do with Kante, but just the whole impact that he had in the game. Spurs, the main area they were influenced, like I said, was their midfield. As soon as that was kind of, taken out of proportions, they had nothing in that game at all. As soon as that dominance was taken away from them, they really just relied on long balls. They relied on individual brilliance to get them through. They had no real kind of, way of dealing with that. And that kind of shows the difference in tactical nous between Nuno and Tuchel. Again, many occasions Tuchel has changed the game with substitutions, and it's completely worked to our favour. It's just absolutely beautiful to see. And Kante in the forward three, I thought he was providing so much end product. He was driving through. He was making good decisions with passing to Lukaku, to Mount. He wasn't making bad decisions. And yeah, Tottenham really couldn't deal with it. Højbjerg's main job was still Mason Mount. I believe he was told by Nuno to man-mark Mason Mount, get him out of the game. But as soon as Kante came on, Højbjerg, who was he going to man-mark? What was he going to do? And I didn't realise Højbjerg was playing in that second half. I thought it was beautiful from Kante. So yeah, to summarise, I think the midfield, the forward three, it will take some time to adapt. We can't expect it to happen just like that. The international break was there as well. 2 weeks taken out of the connection building to go for their countries, play 3 games, and it will come. But I think Timo Werner, when he came on, absolutely beautiful. Yeah. I think, even though he did miss a few chances, just his runs, his space creating, as we always say, his assists are actually really, really good all the time. And I thought he really provided a difference in the attack. So yeah, I'd like to see that more with one cam behind them, Werner and Lukaku being 2 strikers in the future, maybe Havertz, Mount today. I'm sure we'll get into Mason Mount a bit later. But yeah, I think it's all about connections, and Kante, when he is fit and he's not carrying an injury, for me, the best midfielder in the Premier League.
No, for sure. I mean, Ishan, I completely understand what Taron's saying about chemistry and whatnot, but I feel like the basic fundamentals of Kai Havertz and Mount, like just passing, making the right decision in the box, I can't put that all on chemistry. Do you know what I mean? I feel like those are basic stuff that you need to just have. And we're in September. I know it's still early days, but I feel like these guys are still living in last season. They got to snap out of it and sort of focus on this season. And as I said, we can't be solely relying on Lukaku. Lukaku didn't score today. He probably could have scored. But luckily enough, we got away with Thiago Silva, brilliant goal. Obviously, then Kante, long-range shot, which deflected, which we'll talk about the goals in details, Rudiger, of course. But are you surprised that change happened at halftime? Because I personally felt, I'm not surprised. When I saw that change take place, I thought, you know what? Mount off, Kante in. I'm okay with that, because Kante is going to give that extra drive, more sort of, ability to be almost everywhere, which he was. And with the ball, he's so underrated. People don't understand. Him carrying the ball is very, very underrated. He's so good in carrying the ball, made good decisions as well. Not to say that he didn't miss some of the passes, but overall made a huge impact off the bench. How'd you basically make out the inside forwards and the introduction of Kante?
Yeah, first of all, I think so. It was a total Thomas Tuchel masterclass. Absolute genius decision by him because, the first half, to be very honest, I thought both of the number 10s that we had, Mason Mount and Kai Havertz, they look absolutely off their color. Totally off. So many misplaced passes. They're getting dispossessed. Mason Mount, like you said, off the ball work rate was fine. But the thing is, if you're a number 10, then you're one of the main guys to be the creator, to just go out there and make those crucial passes, go into that box, take one-on-one, and look out for Lukaku, because you know the fact that he's your main man. And if you don't look out for him, create space for him, then maybe the role of number 10, you're not justifying that. And your off the ball work rate just does not make the whole work, attacking scenario solved. It makes a bit of a clutter there, because as a number 10, you need to play those attacking roles more than the defensive roles. The attacking role to you is more. So yeah, for me, a Mount looked colorless to me. I'll be very, very honest with you, because we all know that he can be very much better than this. Mason Mount is definitely better than this, and also I'm not worried at all, because he'll find his feet, he'll find the whole chemistry, and then bounce back strong. Now I do agree with Taron that it might take there might be a factor of adaptation there because of Lukaku. But the thing is, again, I cannot agree with you, Ms. more than that the point that you just made, that these are just the basic things that you need to do, and you cannot be overlooking these stuffs.
Look, there is the chemistry factor. Like Taron, also right, there is a factor.
Also, Mason Mount plays for England. He has Harry Kane there, who's their main man, right? So he's already acquainted to the fact that you've got a main striker, and you need to play accordingly with that, and that should resonate here in Chelsea as well, because you've got Lukaku. Now people will come up and say, oh, Lukaku did not score this and that. No, come on. First of all, he was heavily man-marked. Second of all, Mason Mount and Kai Havertz did not had their chemistry in such a way that Lukaku would come up into the play and have something out of nothing. There was no chance. So yeah, to me, the first half was more like Mason Mount did not look good, and then the attacking progress was absolutely did not look very, very good. It was kind of depressing, because I thought that we could have done so much better. Now Thomas Tuchel comes up and just changes N'Golo Kante. First, I was surprised. I was expecting a change, and definitely it had to be Mason Mount, because listen, Kai Havertz also did not have the best of the game.
Mason Mount or Kai Havertz, I thought one of them would have.
Out of one of the two, one had to go. Right now, the thing is that Mason Mount, we're reluctant to put Mason Mount out because of his off-the-ball work rate. Yeah. Now, for that, maybe N'Golo Kante comes in, because he's probably off the ball. He's the best in the world. I mean, off the ball, N'Golo Kante is just world class. I have not seen a player like N'Golo Kante for ages off the ball, and that's why N'Golo Kante comes in, and that off the ball scenario is covered. Also, the thing which was missing from Mason Mount was the final passes in the final 20-30 yards of the pitch, and N'Golo Kante is better in that. At this point of time, he's more reliable than Mason Mount, because Mason Mount looks a bit off form. So N'Golo Kante comes in, and you saw so many chances that he created. Also, the goal that he got, kudos to N'Golo Kante. He's definitely world class, and totally agreed with Taron, man. The moment he came in, he just had that spark, and maybe that's why in the preview, I said that I wanted him in the pitch, because I wanted that spark right from minute one, because we could have maybe ended the whole game in first half itself. But it is what it is, and he came up in the second half and showed the world why he's one of the best. But yeah, I was expecting a change, and I thought it would have been Werner maybe, but surprisingly, N'Golo Kante came in and did what he did. But also, yes, like you said, Romelu Lukaku didn't score, but I think so. This was the game where he was not just man-marked heavily, but it was difficult for him. But you would see, Miz, in the next half, in the second half, he tried to come up, drop down a little bit, and try to combine with N'Golo Kante more and Kai Havertz more. And when Werner came in, there was so many combination play between Werner and Lukaku, where Lukaku, took the ball, just dribble past a couple of players and give the ball to Werner, where, unfortunately he missed. But then we could see that something developing. So maybe in the upcoming days we might see more of Werner and Lukaku, and it's a good sign, to be very honest.
No, for sure, man. I mean, I really thought Lukaku played well overall, even though he didn't get his goal. But I thought his hold up, link up in the first half, he was really sliding the balls into the paths of Mount, Havertz, and the boys just couldn't do much. Johnathan, I want to hear from you as well now. I mean, the inside forwards, Ziyech, Callum Hudson-Odoi, obviously he hasn't featured, and that's a whole new, totally different topic, which we won't touch on too much today. But players like Ziyech, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Pulisic, Mount, Havertz, Werner, which we'll talk about in terms of up front. But these inside forwards, Johnathan, I feel like if you're not taking the opportunity, one or two could really get hurt by the end of the season, because we can't go another season where these players are not producing the kind of numbers that they really should be. And I'm not having an absolute out-and-out attack on them now because it's still early days, but it's warning signs for me that they better wake up. You can't... Ziyech played an average game against Aston Villa, followed it up with another average game against Zenit. Mount played an average game against Zenit, and now he's followed it up against Spurs. Havertz, since that first sort of match against Villarreal and maybe that goal against Liverpool, every now and then when he's been introduced, he hasn't really taken it with both hands. So, Johnathan, are you concerned in somewhat that these lads better pick up ASAP, because big games are coming up, December situation will come up soon. We do need more goals, not just relying on Lukaku. We need others to chip in equally.
Yeah, 100%. I think we need to start, hitting form in the front three areas, because Lukaku's getting no service. He's feeding on scraps. Even the second half, when we're a bit more in the ascendancy, he was trying to play others in, and they weren't really on the same wavelength. Yes, I think he could have taken a couple of shots himself, but I just worry that Lukaku's getting really frustrated. And yes, other players are chipping in. We've got defenders scoring today, midfielders scoring today. Other players are chipping in. But when it's a bit tighter, the games, and we play better quality opposition, we can't expect other players to chip in. The front players or the front three are generally where we should be getting the goals and assists from. And Havertz today, I was really frustrated. I thought in the first half, there's a couple of times, the volley he missed fine, but there was one where he was on the edge of the area, took a really heavy touch and it got blocked from the shot. There was a couple of times where I think he could have just, if he'd had a better touch or more of a decisive attitude, I feel like he could have maybe influence the game a bit more. Yes, his off the ball is not as good as Mount. And yes, Mount was good off the ball as he is, pressing, etc. with the tempo. But if your final ball's not there, you're not really adding to the team. And in those areas, when you've got a pivot and then Kante also coming on, doing that job, you really need your Mount, your Havertz, those 10s to get in and around Lukaku, to give him the ball, to look for options, to create the triangles that I said about after the Zenit game, where I don't feel like we did it in that game. And we didn't do it today. And I'm not saying we got lucky, because we didn't. Second half, we came out, we changed it tactically, really good. The first goal from the corner from Silva after the 4 or 5 minutes really helped us and was a bit of a sucker punch for Tottenham. But we cannot rely on that. We have to, with our front three, generally push the pace of the game. And if the tempo's not there from them, if the final ball's not there from them, if the movement isn't there from them, then I'm a little bit worried. But the thing is, as I said earlier, we're in second gear. We're getting contributions from other areas of the pitch. I think we are going to get better. These players are all going to hit in form. We've switched it. Pulisic, Werner. We've had Hudson-Odoi, Havertz, Mount. We've got so many options. Yes, no one's really on form, but the fact that we're winning games and we're scoring goals without them, it's only a matter of time, in my opinion, before it clicks. And when it does click, I think a few things will click into place. But yes, it's a bit frustrating. I think for the Villa game, we will have to rotate. We've got the City game next Saturday, where it'd be very interesting to see what Tuchel does. But to answer that in a roundabout way, I think Tuchel knows. He came out and said that Mount wasn't good enough. I think behind closed doors, I think he'll be saying the same today to him. I think he'll be saying the same to Havertz. That's why Mount came off. Could have easily been Mount or Havertz. I think the only reason why it wasn't Havertz is because he wanted a more fixed person to play up front with Lukaku. I think Mount would have been a little bit more in terms of position, moving around. I think he wanted someone to be a little bit closer to Lukaku. That's the only reason Havertz stayed on. Obviously, with Kante coming on, he then switched it with Werner coming on later. And Werner, look, as much as I was frustrated watching him, I think we could have scored 1-2 goals from the way he played. It's his touch. It's his all-round ability as a footballer that worries me.
We've always said his ball control needs improvement.
It's frustrating. You want that. If Havertz or Mount would have had that aspect of Werner's game today, we win 4-5, 6-0, and it's an absolute beating. And those two, we talk about how good they were in the game. I mean, yes, Mount's had a couple of bad games. Havertz has been a bit up and down. There's been issues with flu. There's been issues with game time. But that's, I think, the standard we all hold them to now. You know, they don't impact the game. We're going, that's not very good. But I think we just need to be careful not to put too much pressure on them. I think Tuchel was putting it on them themselves. Mount, Havertz, I think they have that mentality anyway. But yeah, I think it will go right. We've got options. As I said, I think the Villa game, there'll be changes. And I think, it will come. We're still not playing as good as enough as a team, in my opinion. So, yeah, I don't want to get too worried, too early in the season because we are winning. We are scoring goals. But, yeah, I get why people will be frustrated. I just feel like we have to give a couple more games and let's see how we do as a team. I don't want to read too much into it. Is basically what I'm saying.
Fair enough. I mean, I do like the point that let's be a bit more patient and hopefully these players come around. And then I've always been there. I'm just basically saying that these players do need to grab these opportunities because
they need to wake up. I completely get what you're saying. I think Tuchel will be saying that. I think the players will know that. But yeah, when it does click, we're going to be devastating because we are nowhere near as good as we could be or can be.
I'm more making comments particularly on the individuals themselves as opposed to as a holistically, because holistically we're still winning, which is fantastic. But I'm more concerned about their own individual careers at Chelsea, because if you don't wake up, you will not see after this season. Maybe players like Mount and Havertz, sure, but your Werners, your Ziyech, your Hudson-Odoi, your Pulisic, I mean, these guys didn't even feature today, so that's a different story. But if Mount and Havertz keeps sort of not performing at the highest level and they back it up to back-to-back average games, I think it's detrimental for them as well, where others will start getting an opportunity. And that's where I'm sort of more coming into. But Taron, let's talk about the next point, which is the introduction of Timo Werner. And I've got to be honest, I don't know about you guys, but I saw a lot of people who wanted this. I've tweeted about this. We talked about this, Ishan, with Daniel as well in the preview, the whole combination of Lukaku and Werner. And I have to say, Taron, I know the boys have already mentioned a little bit that the finishing wasn't there, the touch wasn't there, and I get that. It wasn't there. But at the end of the day, we can't forget the fact that he got himself an assist, another assist, and a really good assist for Rudiger. But what I really liked about the combination, Taron, was this setup. It looked like a really, really good setup where the width was coming from the wing-backs. Werner was more of a free guy that was sort of roaming around anywhere into these sort of areas. Lukaku was still the focal point. And then the midfield trio of Kovacic, Kante, not really the midfield of how sort of Frank Lampard wanted, the attacking it. It wasn't completely like that. They didn't consistently leave Jorginho sort of unprotected. When Kante sort of bombed up, they obviously all pushed up together, but Kovacic and Jorginho stayed together. When Kova went up, Kante and Jorginho sort of stayed together, and it kind of helps out whenever there is a transition and the opposition sort of counters. But I really did like for that 20 minutes, Taron, that little combination of Werner and Lukaku, and I feel like that midfield as well, Jorginho, Kante, and Kova, that could complement that dynamic duo up front. I mean, what do you think about that sort of combination, Taron?
I think you're spot on, Miz. I think absolutely spot on. When, first I was starting to go like Kante, I think this role, to a less, exaggerated extent, is similar to how he was under Maurizio Sarri, quite high up, kind of free roaming in the final third, winning possession, counter-pressing high up, and we play from there. And I really think the way Sarri kind of developed Kante has helped him a lot in his overall game. In the Conte days, yes, he was decent in the final third, but his end product, his ability to drive, his ability to link play wasn't really there. And Sarri really kind of developed his game in that final third. So I thought he was absolutely class in that second half. But, to talk about the front three, I thought you're absolutely spot on. And I mentioned in the halftime show on the Zenit game, I said, you guys are saying Timo Werner against low blocks doesn't really work. He doesn't have the kind of technical ability to kind of break down them. And I can be disagreed. I said that Timo Werner opens up so much space against the low block. It drags defenders out. Look what he did, against Aston Villa. He dragged Ezri Konsa out of position, and Lukaku had that really free shot at goal. And I just think, the way he can drag defenders out, the way he opens up space, I think Lukaku will absolutely feast off that. And, you can have two creative kind of players you want the ball to feet with Lukaku, but that's three players you want the ball to feet in the final third. Lukaku wants to feet, Mount wants to feet, Havertz, yes, he can run in behind, but he wants to feet as well. I feel like we need someone quite quick in the final third who offers something different. He wants to run in behind. And that's why every time Lukaku got the ball, Werner was always in an attacking position. He had two, I know he didn't finish them, but two clear chances where he could have had a shot at the goal. That's what, switching up the dynamics in attack can do. And you could see there was a clear difference when Werner came on in terms of chance creation, in terms of the space for our different players. And you can definitely see it. I want to see this going forward more.
I feel like Lukaku got a lot more out of it as well. He got into a few more goal-scoring positions. And, that link-up, I feel like Werner provides him that extra bit that I feel Mount and Havertz so far hasn't really provided.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's not just getting into goals positions. It's getting into positions where you can assist to Werner, you can play it out wide, you can have a short goal. I really like the double striker dimension, and I'll tell you why this is. Lukaku working with Lautaro Martinez at Inter Milan. I feel like it's a very, very similar kind of connection. One kind of nifty, quick play in the final third. One guy who likes the ball to feet and drag defenders out. I think it's a beautiful combination. And N'Golo Kante really helped the cause, because I remember in the Real Madrid game, I know this is probably not a bit out of context, he won the ball high up so many times, and it allowed Havertz to have a chance at goal, allowed Mason Mount to have shots. And I think Kante counter-pressing with the possession behind them of Kova and Jorginho screening him, it can create so many different chances for Lukaku and Werner. And when you have Werner dragging defenders out, you have Lukaku shooting, it is a really good kind of dynamic in that final third. And like I said, I don't want three players who want the ball to feet all the time. It's nice because they want it, but when that option's not there, you need someone who'll commit, who'll drive. I know Lukaku has a pace, but he really prefers with his back to goal. And then I say you could use wing backs to really attack it, but we had Alonso and Aspi. So when Werner came on, it offered so many more different dimensions. I thought it was beautiful. Alonso benefited from it. He had more space in the wing backs. Azpilicueta for the switch balls, Lukaku for the shots, Kante. And I think Tuchel will have seen that in the second half. The absolute difference I think Werner made in terms of chance creation. And hopefully against Aston Villa, I don't think Lukaku will start, but I want to see Werner start for sure. He deserves to start. He was superb today. The finishing will come. I think the finishing will come for Germany. I know it was against Armenia, Liechtenstein, stuff like that. But with Lukaku there, I think everything opens up. He'll feel more confident. He feels like there's a finisher there. He doesn't feel like the goal scoring kind of burden is relied on him anymore like last season. I feel like at times he felt quite pressured in the final third. He rushed the shots, but say Werner misses a chance, 2 minutes later, Lukaku would pick the ball up and probably finish it. So I think that'll really, really do well for Timo Werner's season. And, in an interview with Lukaku recently, I don't know what kind of company it was with, he mentioned that Timo Werner could work really well with them or something like that. So I think it could be a really good combination. And I'm really liking this dynamic, Miz. I'm honestly with Kante counter-pressing, Werner opening up the space, and then you have the big brute number 9 to finish it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this season. And I'm not saying that Mount, Havertz and Lukaku is a bad front three. I think it can work with more chemistry. But in terms of logical kind of things that don't need much work right now, I think Lukaku's worked with Lautaro Martinez. Werner's worked with, Sorlot and other kind of strikers. And Kante has done this with Diego Costa and other players in the past. So I think it is a match made in heaven right now.
No, for sure. I mean, Ishan, we kind of sort of flirted around with that whole Werner situation in the preview. And I wasn't one bit surprised as soon as the game started, the way Tottenham was pressing, they were playing very high up top. And I said, this was tailor-made for Timo Werner. This match was literally tailor-made for Timo Werner. I think Timo's pace would have really terrorized some of the Spurs defenders, and they would have thought twice about pressing high up the way they kind of were. And I like this dynamic in midfield with Jorginho, Kova and Kante, because they're all ball players, proper ball players, man. I've said it. Kante is so underrated. People don't appreciate the way he plays the ball. You've got the two up front who can absolutely, create havoc. Lukaku's lethal weapon up front, and Werner's pace and movement could be twice as dangerous, obviously. But this setup was really good, Ishan. What do you make of this setup, or are you not entirely convinced?
I think so. This showing positivity. We can all see the fact that Werner's missing and still not clinical enough in the final half, and you cannot disagree with that, because we easily could have been 5-0, 6-0 maybe. Also Kovacic missed one. Maybe he could have just slotted into the right bottom corner instead of looking for Lukaku. So yeah, I mean, the clinicality is must for us. We are still creating chances. Yes, first half was difficult and maybe tactically we were wrong, and second half everything was correct tactically, and then we started creating more chances, and then comes the factor of clinicality. You have to be clinical, and then it is what it is. You just can't keep creating space and don't finish. Finishing is really must. But on the contrary, Werner and Lukaku are showing very much positive signs together. We cannot undermine the fact that these two guys can really create something out of nothing, because we've got two guys who are really fast and quick with their actions, and just can create something out of absolute nothing, and maybe just catch the opposition in empty space out of nowhere. But here, the thing is, I would want to see Werner now more often. Maybe the immediate Carabao Cup match, I want to see Werner start. Maybe the SS that he's got today, he's got more confidence, and then I would want to see him start with Lukaku, because I really want to see how this chemistry develops. Now, there are possibility that it might not work. There are high possibility that it would work, but we need to give it a time. We need to give it a chance. We just can't keep bringing on Werner, with 20 minutes, 30 minutes left, and try to, capitalize. Try to, imagine Werner capitalizing things on those 20 to 30 minutes of time. But yeah, I think so. Werner needs a start, and I hope he starts against Aston Villa. But the thing is, you cannot neglect the fact that he needs to finish. He needs to start finishing. Lukaku's there is an add-on, definitely 100% sure for Werner. Even for vice versa, for Werner, Lukaku is an add-on, and for Lukaku, for even Lukaku, Werner is an add-on, because the way he attracts defenders, it really complements Lukaku, and he said that against Aston, after the Aston Villa game as well. So if they both are complementing each other, but Werner's not finishing, then fingers will be raised on Werner, and I need this guy to finish. He's showing that positivity in the squad very well.
He's getting into really good positions to score.
100%. And again, listen, even if he doesn't score, I've told this million times about Werner, that he knows how to make an impact, and he's come up with another assist today. So the people who are ready to absolutely write him off cannot, because he's just contributed, and he's contributed in one open goal, and a good goal for Chelsea, and that's important for a striker as well. So yeah, again, Werner is doing positive things, but I really want him to start finishing. If this guy starts finishing, maybe even today it could have been easily 5-0 or 6-0. But yeah, I really want to see this chemistry, down in this season. Maybe I want to see Werner Lukaku more often, but it has to be tactical. The off the ball work rate has to be seen as well. Also, we've got the likes of Ziyech, Hudson-Odoi, and Pulisic, who might come up and show some signs that how can they contribute tactically to the team. So it'll be a good combination play. But yes, Werner cannot be written off. He's had a good second half today.
Nah, for sure, man. Johnathan, I mean, are you convinced with this particular combination up front? I want to hear from you. Obviously, you really like Havertz a lot. And I felt like at times Mount did drop into midfield, and Havertz was trying to be that Timo Werner kind of connection with Lukaku up front. But I just feel like it wasn't really clicking. There was one opportunity, I think, in the first half, very early on, where Lukaku sort of fed it into Havertz's path, and then Havertz sort of fluffed that shot. What's your thoughts? Do you want to see the Lukaku Werner a lot more? The fact that he doesn't put the chances away, as Ishan was saying, I mean, does that sort of worry you about this combination?
I would give it a few more substitute appearances when the games are stretched, when the defenders are tired. Let's get a little bit of confidence between the two. Because, yeah, I know Lukaku loves having someone attract space, because he's generally someone that has 1-2 defenders on his back. And anything other than that, he's probably thinking, this is a lot easier for me. A bit annoyed, as I said earlier on, that Lukaku didn't take on a couple of shots. I feel like he was trying to feed Werner, trying to feed Kovacic. Both of them should have scored. Poor touch from Werner on his right. Should have just taken it on his left. Kovacic should have taken it first time. All he had to do was bend it round Lloris. Lukaku could have had 2 assists today, or a goal today. So, yeah, I think we need a couple more substitute appearances. I don't want to see it against Villa. I want to see Werner start. I want to see Lukaku given a complete rest. He's played relentlessly for Chelsea and Belgium over the last month or so. He needs a rest because we've got a massive game against City on Saturday. I want to see it, but as you said, until Werner starts scoring and starts giving me a little bit more in general play, I'm not going to get rid of the 2-10s that work, the pivot that works, because having that third man midfield in the back pocket and the Werner in the back pocket is a massive tool. And I feel like if we go with that from the start, what do we change it to? If we have 3 in midfield and then change it to a 2, we lose a bit of control. Whereas if you add it in, it's a lot better. If you take away pace, it's a lot worse than adding it in. So I feel like those 2 things are better coming off the bench. If it then, if it happens in the next few games, the City game, the games after that, we've got Southampton, I think, as well. If it clicks with Werner and Lukaku after 20, 30 minutes after substitute appearance, then maybe in a game like Southampton, in a game like maybe the Norwich game, those games, we've got Brentford coming up, are maybe the ones we want to tweak the system and try something different. But I certainly wouldn't try it against Villa purely because Lukaku needs resting. Wouldn't try it against City because they are our biggest rivals for the Premier League this season. So, yeah, I'm still sceptical. I was really frustrated, as I said, about Werner's finishing and touch on the ball today. But I understand that just like, the off the ball bits that Mount give us that we then give him slack for the other parts. Like today, I'll give him slack for it because the final ball and the touch wasn't there. And I'm tempted to kind of give the same thing to Werner because of what he did off the ball. Yes, he got a great assist. Rudiger pulled out like a centre forward today. And the fact that he looked up and found him instead of just putting it in the box, which is what other players in the squad have done. So yeah, it's encouraging, but until he starts scoring, which is what he's paid to do, and him and Lukaku get goals and assists galore, then yeah, I'm a bit skeptical to use it from the outset because, as I said, I feel like those tools are better in the back pocket for Tuchel to then switch it to. But look, I think all the praise today, just to go slightly off topic, has to go to 3 people. Thomas Tuchel, just because of how well he did to change the game. I put a comment earlier about what he said, we're losing 50-50s. We needed to change it. He was fantastic today, as he so often is. He's so instrumental. They say that, it's the 11 players on the pitch that do everything, but he just does so much from the sideline tactically and just giving the players the mentality. It's incredible to watch. So first of all, him, I thought Silva was fantastic today, topped off with a great goal. Early on in the game, Son was right up against him and, the commentators were saying, that's clearly a ploy from Nuno. Well, that ploy didn't work, did it? Because Silva is so calm. Even there was a time when Kane got put in behind, when Rudiger was stretched out, Alonso came in on one of them on Son, but there was a time where Kane got in behind. Silva made up, I think, 3-4 yards on him. So he was impressive today. And obviously we know how good Kante was. And again, he's been topped off with a goal. So yeah, those 3 players really, really impressed me. And I think I want to, as much as I thought Werner did well, I want to reserve my real praise for those 3 because those were the reasons we won the game today.
No, 100%. And we're going to talk about that right now. Taron, we've touched on the whole inside forwards. We talked about the Timo Werner. Let's now talk about some of the positives as well in this match. Big positives. Start with Thiago Silva. I mean, what an immense performance from the get-go in the first half. His defending was on point. Just everything he was doing, sort of header clearances, tackles. There was a point, as Johnathan said, Son sort of thought that he could put on his afterburners and get past Thiago Silva, but Thiago Silva had none of that, completely blocked him off. So defensively, there was no doubt he was absolutely bossing it. I am so glad in the second half, as soon as it sort of turned on, and we'll talk about Thomas Tuchel down the track because his impact obviously has been immense. But that sort of set piece, so glad Thiago Silva scored that because we do need goals from set pieces, and it's good to see Thiago Silva step in because Zuma was one that was banging in goals and we've lost Zuma now. But his overall game, for me, I'd probably say he was the man of the match. I know Kante probably gets a good shout as well for changing the match sort of identity in the second half. But Thiago Silva, just a complete package at the age of 37. Is he 37 now?
36. He's going to be 37 this month. He's going to be 37.
It's incredible, man. Taron, what do you make about his performance?
I think the kind of quick clip that summed this up, his performance today, was when he kissed the badge after scoring. This guy absolutely loves Chelsea. It was beautiful to watch. That's what I would do playing for my Sunday League club, but he's done it on the big stage, and it's absolutely. I don't really do that, by the way. I'm not that sad. But...
Bit of a difference, isn't it? I mean, Angel like a fine wine like Thiago Silva, the old 18-year-old Taron playing Sunday. Yeah, come on.
I run over to all the parents as well and do it, so it's the same energy. But yeah, I mean, absolutely beautiful today. I think he was my man of the match personally. And I think before the game there was talk, would he start? Would Christensen come back in? Would Aspie go right? Centre back? Would Reece James start? But this is what I wanted to see before the game. I think Christensen was immense against Zenit. Silva was so good against Villa. You couldn't really drop either of them. So I understand him coming in. Against Harry Kane, you need a defender who can understand the movement of where he likes to go, because he's such a clever striker. I think he tracked that unbelievably. He went over to kind of Christensen's position, tried to deal with him, and he just kept dealing with it over and over again. But defensively, absolutely superb on many occasions. Just the way he defends with his arms behind his sides, I think is really intelligent. He never gives away kind of...
He's probably one of the very few defenders I see that puts it like, it makes like he has that idea that I can't have my hands here, like I'll get done. Rudiger's starting to do that as well. He does that on the side a lot. So it's brilliant. Honestly,
I think that's superb, and I'm sure many players think, he's 37 years old. I'm going to try and knock the ball around him. I'm going to try and be physical with him. But the intelligence that he has, you can tell he's been in the game for 20 years now or something. You can tell he's so experienced. He reads the game, I'd say 5 seconds quicker than any other player on the pitch. Where the ball's going to drop.
And I think that's the difference maker when it comes to pace, because he reads it quicker.
Yeah, he reads it quicker, and that kind of gives him a few yards extra to deal with that 37-year-old kind of pace, which I don't think he's that slow personally, unless Callum Robinson's playing. But I think he's absolutely amazing in dealing with the pace of different players. And defensively, I didn't think he'd get much better in the final third. And then he scored that amazing header. Absolutely bullet header. Dele Alli, maybe a bit poor marking, but what a bullet header. The way he rose to the ball, the power he got, the connection to go past a World Cup winning goalkeeper, absolutely superb. And like I said, he ran over to the fans, kissed the badge, and epitomized it all, 1-0 up.
He's proper Chelsea, isn't he? He's proper, I've always sort of wondered, Taron, because since I started doing football Twitter, that's where I started to realize about the proper Chelsea, like about 3-4 seasons ago. Before that, I had no idea about all this concept about proper Chelsea. I still probably don't know exactly what proper Chelsea means, but I feel like if in my head, if I do kind of know what a proper Chelsea is, and I feel like that's Thiago Silva, like that is proper Chelsea for me. I mean, would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, doesn't he have a Chelsea sleeping bag or something that he just sleeps in sometimes as well? So, yeah, I think absolutely amazing. Just this guy, a lot of criticism when he came in. Me personally, his age. I didn't know if he'd be such a world-class defender as he was before, dealing with the intensity of the Premier League, the speed of the league. Many top-class defenders have tried to come here, failed, and moved away. But Silva, he ages like fine wine. Even though he might not have the physicality and intensity, the way he reads the game, like I said, he's always a step ahead. And when you're against Kane, you're against Son, you need a player like that in your team, and absolutely superb. He could have scored again. That header was absolutely amazing. I feel like Tuchel and Anthony Barry are working a lot on Spurs' kind of weakness from set pieces, because every time the ball came in, I haven't felt like this since, the Kurt Zouma kind of spell last season against our Leeds, and every single time the corner came in, I thought we were going to score. But, it really was worked in. Get Dele Alli kind of getting tight to you, then get away with him with an instant, win the header, and try and have a shot. And I think he could have had 2 apart from an amazing save. So, yeah, my man in the match today, 100% my man in the match. A lot of other significant kind of players, like we mentioned before, like Lukaku had an amazing game. Wouldn't personally put him up there, and go like Kante, obviously. But, Thiago Silva, what a world-class performance today. I think him and Christensen could strike up a very deadly kind of duo, because I think they're so composed on the ball. They both read the ball so well. And if you're kind of dealing with big physical strikers, get Antonio Rudiger in there and deal with them, put them on the floor, and then we're back to square one. So I think it's beautiful. This back three is absolutely world-class. And I think Azpilicueta in the wing-back positions, he is really looking sharp right now, linking up with Lukaku, getting the crosses in, opening up the space for other players to run in behind. So, yeah, it's really amazing. And yeah, like I said, my man of the match. a world-class performance. And there's not many defenders in the Premier League right now who I think can deal with him on this level.
No, for sure, man. I mean, Thiago Silva looked really, really good. I just want to read this out. The fifth standout just came up with the quotes. I want to quickly read this out, what Thomas Tuchel said about the first half. Personally, I was absolutely not happy with the first 45 minutes. Tuchel explained, we lacked intensity and we were not relentless in duels to decide 50-50 balls. I felt that we wanted to impress with our skills, but we were not keen to do the hard work defensively. When you play in a game like this, a derby against Tottenham, you cannot get by just skillful play. You have to be aggressive too. We lacked the energy required, and we spoke about this at halftime. In the second half, it was very good performance and a good reaction. In the end, it was a deserved win, so I'm very happy with what I saw in the second half. I mean, this is very, very interesting, Ishan, in the sense that he talks about energy, and you think that's something that Mason Mount is very well known for, and the team overall is very well known for energy. But yeah, he's spot on in the sense that in terms of you can't just be skillful. You do need to have other facets of the game that needs to kick in. And as I said, we will talk about Thomas Tuchel because he played a very, very big role in this particular match. But Ishan, let's talk about a few of the other players. We'll talk about Kante and his goal after this particular topic. Rudiger. I mean, we saw this goal coming. We were talking about it in the watch along in the last game that this player is going to score a goal very soon. Even in the preview, I said if he continues like this, I can see him score a goal very soon. He puts himself in a very tasty position, gets that cutback, and this time he had the finish to put that ball away. I mean, let's get the discussion here because the boys are here. Are you going to be upset if we don't find a solution for Rudiger by the end of this season and not keep him for next season and make him someone of a sort of the main defender that we can build around for the upcoming few years? Or are you going to be someone that, look, Rudiger, do what you need to do. If you can't get the money, then move on where you need to move on and let's make it the best season for you now. I mean, how do you feel? Do you want Chelsea to just go out there and just throw the money, man?
At this rate, 100%. He is, come on, we've said this on record so many times. At this point of time, he is the best centre-back in world football, no matter what. And, at this rate, just like I said in our last show as well, if you're considering Kante as the best in the world at his position and then you're agreeing to give him the wage that he's getting, why not for Rudiger? He is definitely the best in the world at his position, and give him the money. I really, really want Chelsea to go all in on Rudiger and just secure this guy. The impact that he's brought into the team after Thomas Tuchel is immense, and surprisingly, the other two positions we've got many options, and we do switch out of those many options. If not Christensen, we've got Silva. If not Silva, we've got Chalobah. If not Chalobah, Aspie can switch in. If not Aspie, maybe even Reece James can switch in. But for that left centre back, have you seen anyone else apart from Antonio Rudiger play there? No, absolutely not.
And Rudiger's been flawless. I don't even remember the last time he had a bad game, honestly.
That's the reason why for me, he's one of the most important players, best centre-backs in world football now. And you need to give him that money because he deserves that. If he didn't deserve that, maybe you could argue that the same scenario with Tammy Abraham. Maybe Tammy, the way we were using him or the output that Tammy was producing for us, maybe he did not deserve that high amount of wage. And maybe that's why we did not allow him. But this guy definitely deserves more than that, to be very, 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 very honest. I'm not sure what Chelsea might be thinking here. Maybe it's the number of years in his contract that's an issue as well. That might be the issue. But for me, if the money is the issue, that should not be an issue by any means, because this guy, for me, is in the peak of his form, is in purple patch. Not just that, but the way we are playing as well, it's suiting him perfectly. Also, the manager, this manager is getting the best out of Rudiger, and that's what we want. And that's what even Rudiger might want, that he's getting the best out of this manager and this whole system. Then why go somewhere else? But like we all discussed, he deserves the best, and even he knows that he's got the cards in his hand and he can play the way he wants. We know that he deserves the best, and if he does not get that amount of money, maybe if he gets that amount of money or maybe more in somewhere else, he will leave. And when we can't complain because he does deserve that, and we shouldn't be surprised if he leaves. But as far as Rudiger's concerned, man, come on, every single game he's the man to beat in the center back role. I mean, Son and Kane just got totally nullified by the likes of the whole centre back combination that we have, the whole three. I mean, Rudiger, just get the contract signed. I'm just waiting for the day we sign he gets his contract signed, and we'll be celebrating definitely, man.
No, for sure. Taron, you wanted to add something, and 100%. I want everyone's opinion on this because it's one of the hottest topics out there at the moment. But yeah, go on, bro.
Yeah, just a quick kind of point. I think Ishan summed up really well, but I understand. Obviously, I want Rudiger to stay for the next, the rest of his career. I want him to retire at Chelsea the way he's playing right now. And we can give him 200k a week. We can give him what he wants. But I feel like when you're at this age, maybe especially if we win the Premier League this season, he might want to go and try a new challenge at PSG, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. Similar to David Alaba at Bayern Munich, he kind of did the epitome of everything. And then he moved on to Real Madrid to kind of get a new change of scene, change up his career a little bit, and, a more kind of stable end career. So I understand. I definitely want Rudiger to sign whatever money, obviously not more than Lukaku, other players, but I want him to sign 100%. But I can definitely understand if he wants to kind of move, get a new challenge at the end of his career, move to one of the, let's say, Real Madrid, Barcelona, a club like that everyone kind of dreams to play for, and then he can kind of do that for the end of his career. But he's getting at the age now, he's going to be 29 in March. So I can understand if he wants to move. If he wants to leave at the end of the season, I respect that perfectly for everything he's done for us, how crucial he was to our Champions League win. If we do win the Premier this season, how crucial he would have been in every single game. He's a guy who, I think, one position in our team that's undroppable. I think it's fair to say that. So, yeah, I can get that. But if he wants to move away, get a new challenge in his last big contract in his career, fair play to him because he deserves that, to be fair.
No, for sure. Johnathan, this game, right, Rudiger, there was an opportunity in the first half where I think Christensen he charged on Dele Alli, and Dele Alli sort of turned him inside out. And from there was a situation where it looked like Spurs probably could score. I think it might have been Son that got into the end of it. And Rudy came in and just saved that day. And I thought that was almost going to be a goal. We've seen Rudy do that time in, time out under Thomas Tuchel. So there's that he's been flawless, almost flawless. For me, world-class, and I've been saying it, whether you agree or not, to the live chat and the panel as well. For me, he's been one of the best in the world, if not the best. Now, the issue I have with this whole contract situation, Johnathan, is that on one side, Rudiger is in complete control. He wants the money and he deserves the money. No doubt about that. And then also you have to think that he's in his prime, so why let go of a player when he's in his prime? But from Chelsea's perspective, that's a lot of money, and he is 28, and it's not just about this season, next season. It's about the length of the contract as well. Because Rudiger's not going to accept a 2-year contract. He's not going to accept a 1-year contract on 250k or 2-year contract on 250k or whatever the case is. He's probably going to accept, I'd say, a sweet spot about 4 years for about 200k. Now, I think that's where seems to be the issue, where Chelsea are reluctant to give him, knowing that he is closer to the 30 years mark. And we've seen Thiago Silva has kind of proven that age is not the issue. But then again, for Rudy to be in that Thiago Silva sort of conversation, he does need to do this season in, season out, which I feel like as long as Thomas Tuchel is, he probably could do that. But where do you sit in this situation? Do you understand what the club's sort of doing? Do you understand what he's doing? I mean, what would you like to see happen in this scenario with Rudiger?
I don't think it's priority at the moment in the sense, because we've got Christensen we need to tie down. Not sure what Silva's doing next season. We've got a lot of our other things for the board to consider. I don't think the Rudiger thing
as well, I think.
Yeah, it's not, Rudiger's not top of the agenda. I think we know we need to get it done, but it's not being rushed at the moment. Look, if he gets 200 grand a week, we're paying Danny Drinkwater to do what? Nothing. He's on loan at Reading, probably paying most of his wages, playing Loftus-Cheek, Barkley. We've got an inflated squad on massive wages that we don't even utilise. So what is it to give him another 80 grand a week or whatever? For me, and I've said this about transfer fees, I've said this about wages, it's just money. Clubs have got it. And if you're going to give it to a really important part of our team, if we lose him in the summer, yes, we can try and bring someone in. We can bed in maybe Christensen there, Chalobah. I don't know. We could probably make do. But can we replace his robust nature, his aggressiveness. There was a little bit off the ball today where he just kicked it into Emerson's stomach. Little things like that.
I love that.
You talk about that situation where, Reguilon was through. I don't quite know why he didn't shoot, to be honest, but he decided to pass in. And if you look at it from the start of the phase of play, Rudiger sees the man, goes right. He's going to obviously aim for him. But if I can mark the space and mark an area, the ball's probably going to go there. I will clear it. Because if I mark the man can move. And you have to, as a defender, know whether to go with the man or to go with the space. He's clever enough to identify the space. He's there. He can clear it easily and danger averted. And that was one of the only times in the game where I thought, okay, we could have a little bit of an issue here. But yeah, I just think Rudiger's so good. Why would we want to lose him? I know he's going into his prime. I know he'll probably want a 3-4 year contract. I don't see an issue with that. If he signs it before he's 29 anyway, we've got 3-4 years out of him as a centre-back. We've seen that. I think that Chelsea will be smart about this. They're not going to want to lose a player for free of his value, because if, he does want to leave, I think the smart thing would to do, tie him down and then sell him. I don't think we'll do that. We're not a selling club, but I don't think we're stupid enough to let him go on a free. So give him the money he wants within reason. He's such an important member of the team. It's just his aura. When you're down, when the crowd booed him a couple of times, that run he did in the first half again, or was it the start of the second half? It's just there's 2-3 parts in every single game that he is key to. And he just makes us look flawless at the back. Why would you want to lose that, especially when we're probably going to lose Silva at the end of this year, which means Christian will then have to go into that role. Yes, we've got Chalobah. Yes, we could buy someone else, as I said earlier, but we can't lose Rudiger and Silva in one window, in my opinion. You just can't do it, because you lose the balance, you lose the solidity. Everyone knows their role, and he's really the only one in our current team, maybe Christensen, that can play that left centre-back role with such ease. The way he plays with both feet. Just sign him up. And, Dami was on our channel earlier saying, give Kovacic his flowers. Or Rudiger can have all of these ones if he wants to sign for us, to be honest, because he was incredible today. This is the thing. The level he was at is always so good. Silva was even better. And that's why we're still not talking as being Rudiger in the top 3 of the game today. He's obviously Tuchel, Silva and Kante, I would say. But we've come to expect such a high standard. He was always someone that you looked at as he's got a mistake in him. A little bit like Zuma at sometimes, even Tomori. But he's completely shut that out of his game. I know it does help having the extra centre-back, and he's sometimes a free man. But, to answer your question, we cannot afford to lose him. You just pay him and you move on. There's so many other things that we need to worry about. So, why change your winning formula? If we want to dominate this league for years to come, you cannot let players like Rudiger leave.
It's true. It's a very good point that you said that. There's no way we should be thinking about losing Thiago Silva and Rudiger in the same window.
We can't.
Possibly.
It's just impossible. Rudiger's flowers going to go on the mantelpiece now.
Possibly Thiago Silva could be the last season. We'll see what happens in that respect. Taron, let's talk about N'Golo Kante. I mean, wow. He came on. He was everywhere. He was flying up with the ball. He was defending below. He was intercepting. Look, once again, there's 2 sides of the coin, always, to everything. We talked about the Rudiger situation. Now we want to talk about the Kante. Taron, I know we've just come off a magnificent victory, 3-0. We've absolutely pumped. Spurs could have put more goals. So we gassed. Obviously, as a fan base, we gassed. And we deserve to be gassed. And the live chat, you do deserve to be gassed. Also, guys, we've got nearly 80 people. Smash the like button. I'll get those likes up as close to 100 for people that haven't smashed the likes yet. I mean, Taron, with Kante, we've never doubted his impact. I'm just concerned about when's the next niggly injury? Like, when is that, coming just around the corner? That's what I'm worried about. I mean, how do you manage this player now? Because he looked like dynamic, on song, understood what Thomas Tuchel wanted at halftime and come in and change that. He absolutely delivered Thomas Tuchel's message to the point. For me, doesn't need any participation against Aston Villa. Don't worry about that Carabao Cup. Man City, I feel like Do you go with this same setup, Taron, the 3 midfield, or something different? Let's hear from you, because we'll see what the boys have to say.
I'll answer the kind of system thing for City, and I think it might be a bit controversial, but I'd go with kind of exactly how I finished the game. I'd start that against Man City because I think Kante, Georgie, and Kovac are dominating in midfield against Bernardo Silva, all these players who overload the central areas. We know Man City's fullbacks
Bernardo Silva, KDB.
They all play in central areas. Yeah, they don't. Mara is really the only one who holds width with Grealish as well, but they all like to be in that middle. With them 3, that can kind of neutralise that completely. And then we've seen what Werner's done countless times in Man City. We won 2-1, got the assist in the FA Cup. We got the assist for Ziyech. So, countless times he's done the same thing. And Lukaku finishing off the chances against, I say, a very brittle kind of City defence right now. Well, not really, that's a bit overstatement, but you know what I mean, to that kind of extent. So I think that could be really beautiful to see. And I think Mount and Havertz, obviously Havertz, what he did to Man City could be interesting. And Mount, obviously, is always a great player, getting in front of Fernandinho, Rodri, taking them out of the game completely. So it'll be interesting, but we'll see what happens against Villa. You never know. Sal could have an absolute storm, and you never really know. I predict Sal will start. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, you mentioned N'Golo Kante, and I mentioned when he's completely fit, when he's not carrying his little injuries that he's been so known to pick up. Best midfielder in the Premier League by a long time, in my opinion. You have players like De Bruyne, other players like that. I think Kante is just above the rest in every aspect, in my opinion. I think all managers want Kante in their team. Tuchel reiterates that a lot. You've seen all the quotes in the live chat about post-match saying, if you have N'Golo Kante, you're a happy manager and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think absolutely superb from him today. As soon as he came on, you can just realise impact, the intensity, the great work on the ball, the midfield, kind of like I said before, the way Tottenham were overloading on midfield completely vanished in that second half, just like that. Yeah, like I said, the way Sarri kind of made him better in the final third has really helped him, in my opinion. His end product is a lot better. His intelligence of when to pass, when to shoot, when to play out wide has really improved. And yeah, I think, the Villa game, for me, I don't think we should play Kante at all. Sal, I know he did have a rocky game against Villa, but I think we rest him for that game. The Man City game.
Imagine bringing Sal back against Villa again.
Cancelled.
And the way that Kante hit Dyer's leg exactly on the right position to make sure it hit the post and then went in.
That's what I thought he tried to do.
Calculated.
Yeah. He aimed for that exact part of the shin bone and went in. But even he's a goal scorer now. So what can he do at this point? So I think the point you made about kind of managing his game time is really important, in my opinion. A lot of people are saying just playing for these games, just playing for the big games, top 6 and beyond. But I wouldn't kind of go for that take. I'd say for the games against kind of, Norwich and Watford's, maybe play Georgie and Kovac. Is that fair to say? Maybe Sal at times. But for the Everton games, the Leicester games, all the kind of important games, the London derbies, I want Kante playing. If we're playing every 3 days, maybe play him off the bench like we did today, playing for one of the games 90 minutes. And if we're winning, say 3-0, 4-0, bring Kante off. Because what's the point of wasting his minutes, risking injury when we're 3-0, 4-0 up? We have options like Sal on the bench. Last season, I mentioned it, I think maybe on this channel before, Gilmour, yes, he can play to a very high ability, but Tuchel doesn't really want to risk playing Gilmour in the big Champions League games. But now we have a player like Saul Niguez, who, yes, he had a very, very poor debut, which, all of our players kind of had, like our signings last season. Werner's debut wasn't superb. Yeah, thank you for we'll get into that in a second. All of our players kind of had poor debuts, but I think when we have options like Sal on the bench now, why can't we rest Kante? We can rest him for these smaller games. We can bring on Sal, we can bring on Georgie, Kovac, drop someone else into the bit. Chalobah, I know it's a bit overstatement, but he can play there. Other players can play there. So we have the options now. It's just about managing that game time, because when he is at his full capacity, like I said, the best midfielder. But yeah, this comment from the teenage Aspie, good win for you lot today. He is a Man City fan, by the way, so he's probably absolutely terrified for next week. This team is just ridiculous. Force to recommend. Yeah, like I said, a Kevin Peterson quote. This quote: all teams are fearing Chelsea, and Thomas Tuchel has gone by his words that he said after the Wolves game. I want to build a team that no one wants to play against. And which team is, unless you're absolutely psychotic, do you want to think, I want to play Chelsea next week? Absolutely nobody. They're all terrified of us. So
not a single team would want to play us. Not a single team wants to play us.
Exactly, not a single team. And Tuchel has gone by his word, and like he always does. But yeah, like I said, Kante, absolutely superb. And I think we should stick with that exact second half team at the end of the game against City, in my opinion, because it works so well.
100%. Teenage Aspie, thank you so much for the super chat. You always support the channel. Really, really appreciate that a lot. Good win for you lot today. This team is just a ridiculous force to reckon with. I can't lie. As a City fan, I'm very scared for next week, especially when we don't have an out-and-out striker. Yeah, man. I mean, You guys drew against Southampton. Southampton did really well. Tina Livramento, I mean, that's for another show. But yeah, Ishan, let's talk about Thomas Tuchel now. We've obviously touched on Kante earlier on. We've now talked a little bit. Let's really spend a bit of time about Thomas Tuchel. I have to sometimes pinch myself, Ishan, that when he took over, I was just only thinking about it earlier today, honestly. I don't know if you guys ever sort of stop and sort of realize where we were and how far we've come. And I sort of had to pinch myself that we were 9th when this man took over. And I think after the draw against Wolves, we were 10th because Arsenal went ahead of us. From that position, we've gone clean sheets after clean sheets, defensive solidity, structure looks immense. We have a philosophy when it comes to attack. Our build-up has a philosophy. So many players, fringe players, that have become superstars in the team. Even Alonso, I was harsh on him. Not really harsh. I personally thought he didn't really have a good first half. But the second half, Alonso, he realized he's playing against Spurs and he sort of slapped himself and said, come on, this is my game. And he came alive. And there's been many other players that have done so well. Rudiger is another one. Christensen is another one. And many more. Thomas Tuchel obviously wins the Champions League, Super Cup. The mentality, we are winning games when we're not playing well, man. Like, we have not really strung a 90 minutes together yet. I know many people will say, well, what about the Crystal Palace victory? I still feel we were like in second gear. We could have punished Crystal Palace. We could have punished Arsenal. I'm so certain we could have beaten Liverpool. I'm so certain. Had it been 11v11, I think we could have beaten them. We were ahead anyway. And so far, honestly, we've not looked like we're in trouble against any team, really. This game as well, tactical awareness to know, look, I'm not really liking what's happening in the first half. I need to change it apart. Has the conversation with his lads as to what he wants. They come in and they deliver for him. Ishan, are we in like a golden generation? Would you say like the back in the days when we had Jose winning everything left, right, and center? Are we in that sort of feel at the moment that something special is truly happening here, and we need to really respect this?
You know, opposition fans initially were like, oh, it's your honeymoon period. Now what? Honeymoon period is looking like an eternity. You know, it's an era now. So come on. A honeymoon period with the Champions League and a probable Premier League will take every honeymoon period like that, isn't it? Now, the thing is, with Thomas Tuchel is it's the sign of a great manager. The dynamism in his managerialship, that the gameplay, whenever it seems like it's not up to the mark, he's there right up for the changes. He knows that he's got the options, and he knows that he can just switch the gameplay, from top to bottom, with just making a couple of change. And it's been 2 games, miss. We've seen this change in the Aston Villa game as well, where we clearly saw that Saul was not having a good game. And instantly, 45 minutes, there we go. We've got a Jorginho, and guess what? What a gameplay, what a switch in gameplay, switch in mentality, and then we just dominated the whole game. We knew the fact that we did not play at the best of our games. Just like Johnathan said, he said it multiple times that, listen, even now we're not at the best of our level, that what we can reach. Even today, we are not at the best of the level. We easily could have scored 5, 6, 7-0, maybe. For sure, we were not at the best. And this is the sign of champions. This is the sign of champions. And this is something big now. This is something very, very big. We can see that, the game against Liverpool as well. We maybe 45 minutes down, one man down, Reece James got red carded. We were 10 man, and it was Anfield, Liverpool coming at us relentlessly. Any team could have easily lost, any team, but no. We showed the strength, we showed the perseverance, and we showed the mentality, the winning mentality, that no, it's not easy to just walk over us. Even we 10 men can become very solid defensively and just take a point out of nothing. So that shows the mentality, and I think so. The mentality is so important. When we had Frank Lampard, maybe at the end of Frank Lampard's managerial era at Chelsea, we saw a little bit of lagginess, the boys were not, they were not giving the 100%. Somewhere, just unwilling to run. There were so many misplaced passes. We saw the whole riffraffs there. But Thomas Tuchel, there are games here and there. We are seeing Mason Mount not having the best of his games for the past couple of games, maybe. We need to acknowledge that and say that, listen, it's not his best game. Maybe he needs to get rested and he needs to get substituted. And that's exactly Thomas Tuchel is doing. Just don't overrun him.
He's actually coming out and educating us and keeping things so transparent in the press conference. So true.
100. And look at this. Man like Jorginho has won the player of the season, UEFA player of the season. I mean, phenomenal. Anybody would have imagined that if Lampard, in the Lampard's tenure, if Jorginho would have done that. Absolutely not. Thomas Tuchel brought the best out of Jorginho. Thomas Tuchel made Kepa better than what he was before.
Bro, did you see that long shot from Kane in the second half? I know it was pretty much straight at Kepa, but Kepa, there were a couple of times where he came out as well and collecting the ball. Yeah. Like, it's a different Kepa.
It's a different Kepa, and even when he comes forward out of the box, he's confident now, and he knows that. It's not that he never knew that. As a goalkeeper, those are basics, and you just need to have the confidence in you. And Thomas Tuchel comes up and just lives that confidence in Kepa as well. Just look at the clutch Kepa made in the Super Cup final. Kepa gave us the Super Cup final, to be very honest, and that's a big thing. After that, everybody started respecting Kepa and keeping up there. So it's the manager. It's the manager totally. A player. I always say this, Miz, in our shows as well, and even in the transfer season, when there were so many speculations about this guy, that guy, this out, that out, people were ruling out so many of our players that they're not playing well. Maybe just get out of the club. No, absolutely not. Marcus Alonso was not even opted. Look at what he's turned out to be now. A relentless performer. How can you bench this guy?
Chilwell's in trouble.
And it's a positive sign for the team, because you got Marcus Alonso. He's just putting on these world-class performances day in, day out. You just cannot. It would be a criminal act to rest this guy out of nowhere without any proper reason, because his performance is that high. And if he's increasing his performances level at this rate, you have to big up the manager. It's the manager who's having the faith in you. It's the manager who's making you play in that way. And Thomas Tuchel is just a genius. Not just that, it is tactical abilities as well. The way he speaks, the way he narrates, the way he boosts confidence in the fans as well. If the performance are bad, he takes that on him. And that's a big thing to do. And then he promises to, become better in the next game, and he does. The dynamism in his managerialship is quite amazing. The other managers, if we have a shaky first half, if there was some other manager, they would be reluctant to have a halftime change. They would be like, let's wait for 10, 15, 20 minutes and then maybe bring up a change.
It takes guts to change.
It takes guts, and it does work instantly, because Thomas Tuchel knows his players. How will these players play, and how will these players change the whole the dimension of the game? It is you just cannot praise enough. Any praise would be less for Thomas Tuchel, and I hope this keeps on going. Yes, I agree, and just like Johnathan says, this is just the beginning, and it'll go further. It's just the beginning, and we're here to improve more, and we'll be improving day in, day out. So big up to Thomas Tuchel. So lucky we have this manager, man.
100%. Taron, I know you got to go. Any last things before you want to sort of leave?
London is blue. Apart from that, not really many thoughts. But I'm just kidding. What performance today by the boys. First half takes a lot of resilience to get through a difficult spell. Probably tactically a bit surprising from Tottenham to come out in the second half with such a tactical masterclass on and off the pitch. Absolutely beautiful to see it, and I'm so happy the direction this club is going. Youth players coming through like Chalobah. Big, performances in Champions League, but that's irrelevant. But what performance today? I'll see you guys on Wednesday for the watch along, and Johnathan, see you at Pepe's Peri. We'll see you for all of that, but you won't come there. But anyways, guys, I'll see you guys on Wednesday, and what a win.
Take care, bro.
Have a good day, Taron, man.
Johnathan, before I sort of, Varun, thank you so much for the super chat. We'll get to this, but I really want to hear from Johnathan about Thomas Tuchel. I mean, Johnathan, Ishan touched up on a lot of points. I've touched up on a lot of points, but I do want to get your sort of point of view that these halftime changes, Saul in the last one, Mason Mount in this one, they are gutsy change. Like, you could damage a player's sort of confidence by removing them at halftime, because you're kind of giving the indication that I'm not really liking what's going on here. So you're one of them that I'm not liking. So I'm going to get you out. I'm going to bring someone else in to give me what I sort of want. I mean, as a fan, I love the fact that he does this, because we could all see something wasn't right in the first half and needed changing. It could have very well been Havertz as opposed to Mount. But I just want to hear from you the tactical sort of stuff that Tuchel does in game. I feel like he's another player for us, and not many managers out there have that advantage. Probably Pep for City, and even that is sort of dying down a little bit. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is probably the negative factor for Man United, but kudos to Man United. They keep winning because of the individual brilliance of Ronaldo. And I said it, Cristiano Ronaldo is going to do madness for them. People thought he was washed up. You are kidding yourself. You will score 20 plus goals, undoubtedly. I'm just trying to think. Jurgen Klopp is another one that I feel like is an extra player for Liverpool. I mean, what do you have to say about Thomas Tuchel, man?
Tuchel has got these players with total belief in the system and the greater good. These guys know that, you know, they are the sum of all the parts. And if one of them has to be sacrificed for another part to prosper, I think they all understand that. And, you know, Mount coming off today, we've had other players go off at halftime, you know, Saul, and even when Tuchel came in last season, he's made changes and you go, interesting. But I think because the players believe in him and what he does, and they know that in a situation, if they have to change it, they know what needs to be done. Tactically, you know, with the three-man midfield, they know how to adapt to that. If they want to have two up front, if they have two in midfield, they have the two kind of attacking midfielders behind the striker, the two wing backs. If, you know, we know that Azpilicueta is going to be a little bit more defensive, so that means Alonso has even more of a license to go forward. And if you've got James, then Alonso is a little bit more cautious, I'd say, because both of them, there's a little bit more even and balance. So I think everyone just knows their role, and that if it's not going to work, it has to change. If they want to win titles and they want to be the best, then they have to believe and trust in a manager. And I think Tuchel, in terms of man managing, I think he's fantastic because he's completely honest. Yeah. I think some players think that managers say one thing to the media, one thing to them, and then one thing behind their back. I think people will know that Tuchel will say the same thing to everyone because he's honest, he's open, and I think he's calculated. And as I've always said, he says everything for a reason. You know, even when he picked out Mount last week, you know, he didn't have a great game today after the Zenit and now this game. That'll be in the back of Mount's mind. He will now want to bounce back. And it's almost Tuchel just planting in their minds the need to always be better. So him coming off ain't going to affect Mount's confidence, in my opinion, because his mentality is shoe strong. Sal, you know, he's an experienced individual. He came off, he even came out and said, it doesn't really bother me. You know, I know I wasn't good enough and I'll be better. So Tuchel is very clever in the way he does it. And I'm sure when he brings them off, he gives a reason. I can see him in the changing room going, guys, this isn't working. We need a three-man midfield. One of the attacking mids has to be sacrificed. I want Havertz to be further up front. Mount, you're not so much in terms of good at that. You've got to come off. Kante's got to come on. We're going to control the midfield and build from there, and then we're going to win this game. And the players will go, okay, that's fine, because they believe in it. And because Tuchel has got such a track record ever since he's walked through that door at Stamford Bridge, they believe into it and they buy into it. And I think that's why Tuchel can pretty much do whatever he wants with this squad and know that he's going to get the best out of them. You know, they all know that Lukaku's the best striker. He's going to play probably every single minute. Werner's not expecting to come on for Lukaku. They're knowing that when Werner's number comes up, it's going to be someone else because they know that Lukaku's the best striker. You're not going to bring off Silva unless you're resting him. You're not. Mendy's going to play every single game. Azpilicueta is probably going to play more games than James or Chalobah. He may not have the same qualities, but he's just got the experience and the leadership that there's little things that you know you can't replace. And Tuchel understands all the different aspects and specific parts that go into a winning side. And I think he's got the players to buy into it to a point where there's absolute trust and absolute belief. He's almost indoctrinated the players to go, I am the living soul of this club and I will do everything I can to make us win. And that's why we work so well, because they know exactly what is needed of them. Tuchel has got us trained mentally, tactically, physically, everything to the point where we know that when we go out on the pitch, what is needed. And if it's not working, our manager's going to tell us exactly what to do. They don't even need to think for themselves out on the pitch. We've got to the point where the players, it's almost just second nature. The motor skills have been learnt in training. They've been learnt in all the team talks. And that's why he's such a good manager, that he's massively underrated. Before he came into Chelsea, he's now showing everyone in the Premier League where it's very hard to do it. Won the Champions League. We're now going to challenge in the Premier League. These players believe it. And that's one thing. It's about not just knowing you're good enough, but believing you're good enough. And these players play today like, you talked about the Mourinho side. We rock up. And do you think we're going to concede a goal? Not really. Do you think we're going to get a goal even when we're not playing great? Even in the first half, I thought second half we'll probably nick a goal. And this season, we're not just nicking one goal. We are scoring goals. 3 goals today, 3 goals against Villa, 3 goals against Palace. We scored 12 in 5 games. We were not clinical, apparently. We're nowhere near clinical enough, but yet we're still scoring goals. Because Tuchel's got it into these players that we are going to score goals. We are going to win games, whatever is happening in the game. We can adapt to every situation. So all praise to Thomas Tuchel, the best manager in the Premier League right now, one of them in the world right now. And he has put us on the trajectory to the top. And I think, all these players understand and know that. And that's what makes it so beautiful to watch, because it's just, you know that when you turn that telly on or you go to a game, you're going to get the Chelsea that we all want. The work rate's there, the belief, the mindset is there. They know that they're going to give everything when they're out on the pitch, and that's what you can ask for as a Chelsea fan. We draw that game today, we would go, you know what, we left it all on the pitch, and that's something that you can't really ask much for. So Tuchel, absolute masterclass yet again. But let's just remember, Tottenham are nowhere near our level. They are probably going to struggle to get the top 6 this season. Yes, it's a great win. We've beaten Arsenal and Tottenham away. It's great for us in terms of London rivals, but much bigger tests to come. As much as it's great and we can celebrate today, he'll tell the players as well. Monday, we concentrate on Villa. When Villa is done, we concentrate on City, because City game is massive. If we can get a positive result out of that game, it really sets us up for the season ahead. So, it wasn't the toughest opponent, but you've got to beat what's in front of you. And we certainly did that today in the second half.
No, for sure. Look, you know what? I'm not too worried about City, man. We know how to play their style. We know what they bring, and we know how to counteract on that particular style. And Pep's someone who won't do anything differently. That's the way he plays. It'll be interesting to see what he does in terms of in midfield. He's played with a single sort of pivot with Gundogan in the Champions League final. He's played with a double. He's played with Fernandinho. He's played with a whole heap of different players in there, and it just didn't work out. And I feel like, as great as they are as a unit, we have a far better discipline. And I feel like we can just catch them out in that 1 or 2 moments. Whereas they, as I said, they're great as a unit, but they do have that lack of sort of lapse in the back here and there. And I think we can capitalize. We've done it in the last 3 sort of matches we've played against, and we've done that. And just
we'll
on the Spurs,
because I think they're going to attack us, and that's what Tottenham didn't do at times today, and that's where we struggled first half. I know they came out at us, but I think we're going to like playing against better teams, because the better teams are going to leave more space in behind. So look, 0 shots at home on target against Southampton yesterday. That's shocking.
Shocking. Honestly, that is shocking. Just going back to our particular victory. I mean, I've lost count now, the number of clean sheets we've kept. We are so mean in defense at the moment. It's not even funny. We are on track, I believe, 15, 16 goals was the record, Jonathan? Ishan, what was it?
15 goals. But 15. It's still very early, because 1 West Brom and then it's completely
changed. I know. It's very early.
Yeah.
Watch out. Yeah.
5 games, 1 conceded, which is pretty impressive. Yeah, penalty as well.
That's why, after last season's whole shambles against West Brom, I've stopped counting in this season. I just let it go, man.
Games. Clean sheet, goals. It's not the records, if they come, are great, but
it'll take care of itself. It'll take care of itself. No, you're right. But it's looking imperious, honestly, the way we are not yet at our full potential in terms of the quality, and we're punishing teams away, which is
another positivity miss. Yeah. Sorry to cut you off there, but another positivity that I saw from last season as well. You could see that taking the West Brom game into context, we saw Thiago Silva getting red carded, and everything just crumbled. One mishap and everything crumbled. We saw there were many games as well, but we saw the Super Cup game especially. I can call you out that Hakim Ziyech was taken off when he was the best player on the pitch. He was taken off, but there was a chance that till the halftime we were not at the best, and we thought that things are crumbling. They got the goal back, and we saw that things are crumbling. Now it's like, even if something bad happens, look at the Liverpool game. Reece James was red carded, but we stayed strong, and that's the sign of improvement. That's a sign of us, with our
not crumbling.
Our road to championship. This is a positive sign and a good improvement as well. That keep your mentality, keep your focus straight. Be strong. Even if something happens here and there, no worries. We've got a good team. We've got a good backup. We've got good bench strength. And anyone who comes off or anyone who comes on, doesn't matter. We still remain good and world class. And that's where Thomas Tuchel comes in. And then he has done the job. He's learned from that West Brom game. And it's not that we've not had mishaps like that. We've had many, and we've overcome that mistake. And we don't crumble now. We stay strong. And whoever comes in, we cannot say a substitute would be a weak link. No, not at all. A substitute comes out even stronger and brings that impact with a double effect. So that's a sign of improvement, and so happy to see that.
No, 100% well said, Ishan. Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us till the end of this review. But before we go, Varun, thank you so much for the super chat. I mean, look, this super chat, it's very difficult to talk about this particular topic when we're talking about the match. I do appreciate it. And this is the other thing, guys. I appreciate your super chats. Appreciate your comments. But if you can keep it in line with what we're talking about, it just makes it easier for us to sort of talk about the situation, because this in itself, Rafinha and Ziyech, that's a discussion on its own, which needs.
And both of these players have different styles. Play for the teams who play for different styles, so it's difficult to compare, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't think it's fair to talk about this when we are 1.5 hours into the review. But just to quickly answer you, Varun, and I'm happy to do a separate stream and talk about this. I feel like, as Ishan said, they're different players. Ziyech is more someone who likes to play from the right and cut in and be as a number 10 sort of player. Rafinha is an out-and-out winger. Now, when it comes to impact, Rafinha has had a far bigger sort of impact in terms of the season for Leeds, whereas Ziyech has had an up-and-down season for Chelsea last season. He's scored some big goals, don't get me wrong, but, injuries affected it. The new manager, the formation, all of that sort of played a role. So Ziyech, I really want to see what he does this season, but already this season, really good first sort of, preseason from him up until he got injured, scored that goal against Villarreal. And then since that injury now, back-to-back probably average performance against Aston Villa and Zenit. And there'll be question marks. Because Ziyech cannot afford to have poor matches. He cannot, because if he does another subpar season, I think he's one. There was rumors that he was going to go last in the summer window. So someone like Rafinha, I've already sort of made a lot of praise. I watched Leeds a lot. I really like Rafinha a lot. I wouldn't mind seeing him at Chelsea. I really wouldn't. But as I said, that's for a different topic, a whole big conversation. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys enjoyed this particular victory. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The boys have enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed this review. We've talked about all the main important points. And what I'll do, probably you'll see over the next few days, is little snippets of the conversations we've had about different topics coming up as separate videos, as smaller versions, so you guys can digest that as well. So before you go, smash the like button. We're only about 11 likes away from getting 100 likes, which will be great for the stream. And if you're here for the first time, subscribe. Check out the boys and their socials in the description. And until next time, everyone, take care and see ya.